Hi, this is Kara from the Special Needs Mom podcast.
And this is Angela from Especially Organized, Sensible Solutions for Special Needs Moms.
We have this heart for special needs moms. And so we thought, you know what, let's combine forces. And we have come up with what we're calling the Purge Party. And you can pretty much guess what it is. It's a party where we're going to come together and we're going to purge or, in general, accomplish a goal, a small goal together. So we have set this for January 27th, starting at 8 o'clock for my Pacific Coast people.
Which means 11 o'clock for all of you on the East Coast. So this is an opportunity. If you have something on your to-do list that has just been stuck there and you are wanting to move it up on the list, you're wanting to tackle, maybe it's a space or an area of your home or a category in your home that has just needed a little time and attention. This is your opportunity for you to be online with us while you work and have access for us to help you answer your questions, help guide you, and just serve you for those 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you can tell like what we've designed is just this very high level of support for that project that you just haven't been able to tackle on your own. The thing that we are envisioning is that you get to leave this purge party feeling so accomplished because you did the thing. You started the year off getting that thing done that you were stuck on last year. And so it's a momentum builder, if you will. You can go ahead and sign up. We have a link ready for you. And we are offering this for $40 for the whole experience.
Absolutely. And we hope you'll join us. I think it's going to be really fun. It's going to be a great group of moms of special needs kids. So we all get each other. We all have an understanding of what it's like to have something on our to-do list, but just we haven't been able to tackle it yet. So I hope that you will join us. We're super excited to bring this to you, and we are thrilled to work with you.
All right. We'll see you all there. Hi, I'm Kara, life coach, wife, and mom to 4 incredible and unique children. It wasn't all that long ago that my son received a diagnosis that had my world come crashing down. I lacked the ability to see past the circumstances, which felt impossible, and the dreams I once had for my life and family felt destroyed. Fast forward past many years of surviving and not at all thriving, and you'll see a mom who trusts that she can handle anything that comes her way and has access to the power and confidence that once felt so lacking. I created the Special Needs Mom podcast to create connection and community with moms who find themselves feeling trapped and with no one who really understands. My intention is to spark the flare of possibility in your own life and rekindle your ability to dream. This isn't a podcast about your special needs child. This is a podcast about you. If you are a mom who feels anxious, alone, or stuck, then you are in the right place. Welcome. Hello, and welcome to the Special Needs Mom podcast. And welcome back to many of you. It's been a minute since I have recorded a solo episode, and that is what we have in store today. Before we get into the episode, I'll give you a quick little update. Actually, it's funny because one of my friends came up to me and said, "So how's your backpack situation going?" I was like, What are you talking about? And how do you know about this? And she's like, "From your podcast. You talked about it." She's like, "I listened to your podcast so I can know what's going on in your life." And I so appreciated that. She is that type of friend. You know who you are. So here's a quick update on my backpack situation. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, we kind of finished a home remodel, a little freshening up, if you will. And my children had nowhere to put their backpacks. So they would just be floating around in the house. I've got the one kid that always puts it in the chair. I've got one kid who doesn't even bring it in from the car. Another kid who, he spreads his stuff all over the kitchen table. And then the other one is kind of haphazard. So needless to say, there were a lot of backpacks all over my house. And actually, it was a couple weeks ago, I found the solution. I found this beautiful buffet because I was like, I don't want my hallway to look like, or my entryway actually, to look like a classroom. I mean, 4 backpacks is really going to add up if it's on the wall and open. So I found this buffet that's big enough to stuff them all in there. And I love it. It is so great. The one drawback is it has seagrass in it. And I love the look of seagrass. But you know what I don't love? the smell. It's awful. I think it's going to go away, but the look is worth it. Okay. So on to way more important things. And actually, as another quick little like personal update, man, we just keep getting these little twists and turns. So like last week we had a little ER trip. Everything's okay. It's kind of expected in our journey, but obviously no fun. Then this week I had a very sudden and urgent trip to school for a reason I will not share the details of. But the moral of the story is I have had a lot less time to do the things like this podcast than I have anticipated. So here we are, imperfect, and yet we're coming as we are. The other thing this friend actually mentioned to me that really stuck with me, I was, telling her little life updates, and she kind of just looked at me. She's like, you need more help. She's like, or you need to quit. And like, that's not an option. But it really sunk into me that like, we do. That is the moral of the story here. And so I noticed that I had a little resistance to getting more help. I have all my reasons. And so I am sharing this with you because I'm not the only one. And I mean, y'all know how much I believe in support and how much I push us to think outside of where we normally stop. That's actually, what we're going to be talking a little bit about in this episode. And so I share that because it is important to notice where we have this resistance and then bring that curiosity and maybe even like someone to talk through it with. Like I will be bringing this to my coach and noticing kind of where I am stuck. Okay, so let's move into this week's topic. And I always name the episode after I recorded, but one of the current ideas is the danger of affiliation. I don't know. I like that one because it's like provoking, like, oh, what's the danger? But what we're talking about today is the idea of affiliation. And I'm sure y'all have heard of this. And just quickly to define it so we're on the same page. So when we affiliate, we're attaching like officially and connecting to a group or a person or an organization. We are saying we are part of that thing or group or place or whatever it is. And I want to look at both sides of affiliation because I think there are huge benefits of affiliating to being a special needs mom. And I think there are some pitfalls that some of us get stuck in. So first, we're going to just look at this identity of a special needs mom. And, we can call ourselves caregiving mothers, medical moms, disability moms. Really, I use the term special needs mom to cover any and all of those things. You use the language that is most aligned with the identity that you have. For me, when I kind of think about my identity as a special needs mom, honestly, like I feel kind of proud, like a little bit like I am in this elite group. Not like I'm better than other people, but like I get to be part of this like exclusive group that you only get to be in if you're like pretty badass. I don't tell everybody that. But also, when I think about being a special needs mom, I now feel very known and understood by fellow special needs moms, but still not always understood by people outside of that group. I think another part of this identity is deeply understanding alongside my sister moms, the challenges, the emotional toll, the hypervigilance, the wondering and the anxiety about the future, the financial strain, the constant managing of insurance and other support agencies. Have I mentioned the relationship toll? And of course, then like there's this physical exhaustion. Like last night, I texted my husband, he was out with a child, and I said, babe, I got nothing. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to lift a finger. I don't want to do anything when you get home. I just need you to know this. I'm laying in bed, I'm reading, and I'm not doing anything else. I was physically and emotionally exhausted. So those are just a little sampling of kind of when I'm talking about the identity of a special needs mom, like, what does that mean to you? For you, it might be a little bit different. So you think about what it means to you. Obviously, I'm kind of looking at the more empowering side right now. But I want to now turn to look at what I think could be like the pitfall that I mentioned. When we affiliate, we band together, we come usually from a position of vulnerability. And this affiliation actually helps us compensate for that vulnerability, like with this strength in numbers, like this strength in people understanding, having commonalities. Of course, we're stronger together. I think this is a beautiful thing. And sometimes we use this as a defense mechanism to justify some of the areas, the common hard areas of being part of this identity group. And my guess is that if we pull 100 special needs moms, I'm going to look at these beliefs that I'll share in a second, that you have a very high level of belief of some of these things. And one of the things that I want to call out is that the reason we have such a high belief on this is because we're looking at our fellow special needs moms and we're saying, okay, well, she believes this. Okay, so it must be true. And everybody is saying this. It's like the thing that we really band together on. We've linked arms to say, this is what it is. And I think we can do better. So here are the things that we band together on, and that I don't think is the beautiful, empowering part of this affiliation. So one of the things might be, my needs have to be second. And we know that this leads to burnout and usually resentment, right? So if you take a look around at all the moms around you, who can you point to that puts herself first? Whoopsie daisy, not a lot of us. I'm guilty of this too. And so this affiliation, again, it makes it like, oh, well, it's impossible to do that. So then we look at the whole self-care thing. And I see all over the old Instagram, like, let's roll our eyes. Let's all collectively roll our eyes at the idea of self-care. And let's be annoyed when anybody mentions it. I get it. I totally understand it. But I think if that's where we stop, if that's where we say, they don't understand, it's impossible. And then we look around and all of our fellow moms are saying, yeah, impossible. Let's roll our eyes and just push back. I just don't think that's a powerful affiliation, right? Because what does that result in? It results in us saying it's impossible and we don't even try. Or we maybe are even misunderstanding what it even is. And so we never even get close enough to kind of, experimenting. Other things are believing that we have to give up our hopes and dreams, or we have solidarity in saying nobody understands, which I said earlier, right? Like I have a very high connection with my fellow special needs moms of like, yeah, they understand. And not as many that are outside the community that understands, but I can't say nobody because some people I think really do understand, or at least they put themselves enough in the conversation to feel like they know me, which means a lot. But if I come into all of my relationships outside of special needs parenting with the belief that nobody understands, it's very likely that I'm going to perpetuate that experience. And I won't go into all the like how and why right now. I'm going to keep this episode pretty simple, but I want to call it out as part of the danger of affiliation. Okay. Another one might be something like, if my child is still struggling, then it means I'm not working hard enough or doing the right things. And then this is where we open the door to all the guilt. So guilt is a very common experience of being a special needs parent. Another one I think is a tricky one, and I can see both sides of it. But another one is thinking that only a therapist and or coach with a special needs child can understand or help me. Now, I'm not saying it's not a wonderful thing if you have a therapist and or coach that has a special needs child, because of course they are going to be able to help you in a very unique way. But that doesn't exclude you from being able to be supported by somebody outside of that group. And that's where, again, I mention this because I see moms stopping like, oh, nobody understands. They can't help me. And look, all of my other special needs moms believe this too. We're out of luck. But we're not out of luck. Okay. The last thing I'm going to mention is this experience that I have to do it all myself. Can't have the husband help because he is not going to do it the same way I do, and certainly not as well. And I think this is a common experience. One, men often do things differently than women. Obviously, that's generalized. And if we talk to other women, we can be like, yeah, they can't do anything. And this is where the banding together on this topic, I just don't think it helps us. I don't think that banding together on the common belief that our husbands are less capable than we are is helpful. Differently capable, yeah, but doesn't mean that they can't be a bigger part of the caregiving and all it takes to be a parent. Now, this was a little tough love, ladies. I want you to know I love you. And if you're like, whoa, Kara, like, oh, that didn't feel very good. I don't like you anymore. That's okay. I'm willing to be in that place because I think that we have such a gold mine in the community of special needs mothers. And I think all of us, this is definitely myself included, have an opportunity to notice where it's not an empowering relationship and or affiliation. I think you've all had the experience of going to whether it's in person or it's online, a special needs or a support group, and you walk away and you're just like, ew, that was not helpful. Okay, so likely what you experienced is this affiliation of kind of this experience of this sucks and we're stuck here, right? I think we've all witnessed or experienced that. I think most of us would say it's not helpful. So it would be real easy to walk away from that support group and be like, yep, I'm done with that. But one, we all know not all support groups are like that. And this is the reason why I'm bringing this to our attention is because I think we got to be real careful on what we're growing and what we're perpetuating in our role. The thing I really want you to take from this episode is a spark of curiosity. And curiosity specifically in how you might be using it as a defense mechanism. And a defense mechanism is just a way of decreasing our internal stress. Because again, if we look around us and are like, okay, we're the same as everybody around us, we must be doing it right. That is a little relieving. As we wrap up, let's just do kind of a little check-in. Okay? If we're talking about the identity of being a special needs mom, and we're looking at to what extent you feel empowered, what I want you to rate right now is on a scale of 1 to 10, how empowered, when you think, again, of being a special needs mom, do you feel strong and confident and in control and you can do what you need to do? That would be a 10 would be you feel that 100%. And a 0 would be you don't feel that at all. My guess is that you're not either one of those, that you're somewhere in between. And we're going to move up and down on this scale all the time. In a particularly hard season, you might be at a 2. And in a season where you feel more empowered, obviously you're going to be higher, where you feel that confidence, where you feel that strength and kind of more of that experience of being in control, or at least being able to access the belief that you can do what you want or need to do. And so what's your number? If I'm honest right now, I'm kind of between a 5 or 6. I'm not super high at feeling like I can have the impact in certain areas of being Levi's mother that I want to have. So I think it's just important to recognize this is not, it's good or bad. It's just noticing okay, interesting. There are some things right now that are, like I mentioned, a little stuck on, which is totally okay. Because guess what? We're all human and we're all going to range in all of these areas. So I think we're going to wrap up there because I wanted to keep this episode quite short and simple. As we wrap up, I just want to kind of cast the vision of what I strive for in the community of being a special needs mom. And of course, creating spaces for moms to move towards this place. The vision I have for special needs moms is that they are the inspiration for each other. They're inspiring each other to live lives full of peace, contentment, and delight. If you're like, Kara, come on, that sounds a little lofty, check your affiliations. Why isn't that possible for us too? That's what I would ask us. Why isn't that possible? So answer that question. And that's going to kind of be the little pathway, little breadcrumbs to guide you to where you may be kind of using this affiliation to prove that you can't have those things. Okay? Move towards this vision of inspiring each other, being the light for one another to live lives full of peace, contentment, and delight. All right. We'll see you on the next episode. One more thing before we officially wrap up this show. Sometimes when I'm listening to podcasts, I have the experience of wanting more. I'm listening at the very end thinking, I sure wish that episode didn't end. I invite you, if you feel in any way the same way, I invite you to the Special Needs Mom podcast community, which is a free group that I host on Facebook, where we as a community of fellow moms who listen to this podcast and are experiencing life in similar shoes get to talk to one another, get to share stories, get to actually interact. I hope you'll consider joining. See you over there.